everybody. Welcome back to the Fatal 12. I've done some reorganizing and reconfiguring of some stuff. Hopefully the audio sounds better a little bit. I appreciate it's still a little bit tinny. I've been playing with some settings, trying to make things improved. Unfortunately, I improved them so much that I don't want to use them for this recording, because people are going to hear this voice all through the previous recordings, and then they're going to come to this video and they're going to hear this voice, and that's a little bit too jarring, even though I think it's an improvement. So we're going to stick for this for now, and worry about the improvements for other videos moving forward. In the meantime, though, we are going to continue on with here. We have, once again, carried on our character stories. We're just focusing on the different people as they come up. A weird format, like I keep saying. It's not like Danganronpa where you just meet everyone at once. But now we've met number 4. We've learned a little bit about them. And of course there's an amnesiac character. Why would there not be an amnesiac character in every single one of these bloody games? So we are now dealing with that. Not only do we have an amnesiac character, but we have a character who has decided that they are just not going to participate. The best way to win is not to play. And unlike Keiko and Sonia, who got their stuff bullied out of them, this one will not be bullied. This one is basically the Manchurian Candidate. And Odette and Federico went and messed with her, much to their regret. Federico is now walking around with a stab wound, and Odette is walking around slightly more annoyed than usual. So we get to deal with that, because we are investigating them as well, but Alan is also on our tail. And, yeah, I'm wondering if 9 is going to make a showing, or if he's just going to wait his turn until we're done with 4 and 5. In the meantime, we will go ahead and get into that. By the way, speaking of guys like number 9, I went and looked at the cards. We are now full on everyone but him. So we've got all our friends here. Funnily enough, number 4 is showing in her female appearance, even though she's showing up as the sort of male in the or male attire or aesthetics in the story. Number 7, though, number 9. Number 9 is just a no-show. Literally haven't seen him at all aside from the opening, which is bizarre. Also, I promised I'd practice this name. I did. I actually looked up the pronunciation for it. Apparently the first name is much rarer, because if I look up what is it, Ushizuka, I believe is his first name, Ushizuka, that's literally, I start getting pictures from Fatal 12. But Shigetsugu seems like a more common name. And funnily enough, Shigetsugu, the pronunciation is exactly what it sounds like. Shigetsugu, and Shigetsugu, and he gets a goo, and you get a goo, and everyone gets a goo. Gets a goose for everybody. That's just how you say the name. So she gets a goo, and she gets a goo, and you get a goo. We're all going to get a goo. So, yeah, after school, we're going to make our way to the district where Shigetsugu lives and hopefully not get our ass kicked by 10-year-old Chuck Norris. Oh, yeah, remember how I said when we met Sonia, we should be scared of the kids because anytime you encounter a little girl in an anime game, they're either some sort of super soldier or villain or goddess or whatever. Well, we met the 10-year-old super soldier. We met the ass kicker. We met 10-year-old Chuck Norris. So, yep, they were waiting for us. They knew. I know the way by heart at this point. I've gotten somewhat familiar with the area after all. This is our 3rd trip here. I should be able to escape into a busier area if I somehow bump into that duo. Okay, let's do this. What are you planning, Rinka? Because you might be leaving here with a black eye. On the other hand, number 4 is the one who killed us, and I'm still waiting for that revelation. I give myself a little pep talk out loud. Today's main goal is to ask around and find out anything I can about the relationship between Shigetsugu and that girl. I also noticed, I mentioned before that I bit the inside of my mouth. I actually found out why my mouth was hurt. It's not because I bit it, it's because I burned it. I had some coffee that I guess was a little too hot, so that's why I keep tripping over my words. Every time I trip over my words, I'm like, damn coffee, but then I have to take another sip because it's coffee. I love my coffee like Rinka loves her coffee. Rinka, make me some coffee. I want to taste the coffee you make. Things go south almost immediately, though. Yep. And there he is. This is literally the 2nd time he's shown up on screen, and yeah, of course he would recognize us. Why is your name question marks? We know exactly who you are. Oh yeah, I have a voice for this guy. We need to give him the standard old man.
You wouldn't happen to be a participant, would you?
Someone approaches me from behind. Huh? Well, you were going to get busted eventually. The very person I was about to gather info on meets my gaze when I spin around. He may be short, but he looks as tenacious up close as he did from afar in the dream world. He stares at me with a stone-cold poker face, a plastic bag in his hand. I freeze the moment our eyes meet.
I recognize that face. Not many high schoolers look as threatening as you do.
His voice is much younger than what I'm giving him, but F it. I need to give something to differentiate the males here. You're...
Now. Allow me to hazard a guess. You've come here in search of information pertaining to me, yes?
His posture makes him look exhausted. He's completely unfazed, despite having run into another participant. We know he has a bad back, but these old guys, they can be pretty tough. Now that I think about it, he didn't react in the slightest when numeral 11 got her hands on his name card. Nope, he didn't. He may sound somewhat surprised, but at the same time, he seems a bit apathetic.
Please, there's no need to be so tense. I have no intention to oppose any of you.
Again, we learned this last video. Number 4 and number 5, they just want to be left alone. It's like, I don't care. Go away. Unfortunately, everyone's been here, so you're effed.
My battlefield lays elsewhere, and today I make my return after a great triumph.
Oh, you got a good deal at the grocery store? Half off avocados? Your battlefield?
Indeed, I have my own battle to fight.
With another participant?
Heavens, though! I have my battles by the station.
I'm completely baffled by his statement. Yeah, we don't know the story here. Odette heard from 4, but we haven't heard from him. I guess it means he's successfully reeled me in, though. I start to panic with that thought in mind.
The battle begins by lining up early in the morning to secure a good spot, but the true war begins after that.
This is some awfully dramatic music. Do you go bird watching, or are you just watching cute girls at the train station?
Few things are as exciting as the fanfare you receive when hitting the jackpot.
Or is he just gambling on horses or something? Jackpot, fanfare, and a good spot. Not to mention this all takes place by the station. The station isn't huge, but it has all your typical storefronts around it. Not a gambling establishment, not a horse track. Coffee shops, diners, the shopping district, and... Oh. Yeah. Pachinko, that would make sense.
That is correct.
His laugh is hearty and sincere. The scowl on his face remains, though. It leads me to believe that he's the kind of person whose facial expressions don't quite match up with how they actually feel. To be fair, he may not be our enemy, but he's probably extremely wary of us being his enemy, and he's not entirely incorrect.
Here, for your correct guess, you win this chocolate.
He produces a bar of chocolate from his bag and hands it to me. I stare at it for a few seconds before turning him down. Is this your way of making me lower my guard?
Children these days aren't quite satisfied with chocolate, I see. A shame. Especially when I know one whose eyes light up whenever I give them some.
You must be talking about the girl staying with you.
I don't recall any girls staying with me.
Because, yeah. What is the story on number 4? Because they look like a guy right now, and that's probably... Everyone is confused. Half the cast thinks it's a girl, half the cast thinks it's a guy. And depending on how they set themselves up to appear, none of them are particularly wrong. Drop the act already. I try to sound as threatening as I can muster. Letting him lead the conversation any longer is too risky, especially when I can't gauge his intentions.
My, aren't you a scary one?
I stare him down as he tries to tease me. It's possible that he's trying to rope me in and extract useful information out of me. No, he's just messing around. He just does not give two craps. So I tried my best to say as little as possible.
As I said before, I have zero intention of taking part in all of this. I'm happy enough as it is to have been granted some extra time before passing away.
I had a feeling this might be his attitude. We've had some people accepting of their deaths before. Sonia because of her illness. Haru just because of her situation. This dude because he's, you know, he's going to be pushing up daisies in a month anyway.
I've even been able to return to the pachinko parlor thanks to it. You'll never believe how much my income has increased ever since Divine Selection began.
I refuse to say anything in response to his random conversation.
That being said, can I ask you to leave?
He finally confronts me, possibly after realizing that I'll stay quiet if he doesn't.
I'm fine with whatever fate befalls me, but there's a certain someone whose survival I want to ensure.
It has to be the girl. The girl he doesn't realize is a girl. I already know for sure that they're living together, which means he's feigning ignorance. No, he just doesn't know what you're talking about.
I want us to lead a normal life until that someone finds the will to fight for their own sake. Would it be too much to ask that you hear out what this old, retired man has to say?
I mean, I'm happy to let you just keep talking. You want this person to win, don't you? If so, then yes, it would be too much. Well, of course it would, because it would mean that we would die instead, and that is not acceptable.
Well, that's hardly surprising. How does that sound then?
His tone becomes grave, and his expression somehow gets even more tenacious as he speaks.
If you agree to leave now, I won't make any mention of having met you. That means they won't target you.
Oh, he knows they've visited. I mean, I guess number 4 would have told him. I get that you're older than me, but you may want to appreciate the fact that you're in no position to look down on me, Ushizuka Shigetsugu.
Getting haughty just because you know my name, are you?
He doesn't falter when confronted with my threat. He opts to provoke me instead.
I'm kidding. As I've said twice now, I have no intention to oppose any of you. This is the 3rd time. Are you hard of hearing? Would you like to borrow my hearing aid? I have several.
His tone returns to normal, although his expression remains unchanged. We've made absolutely no progress. On the contrary, we've scored a chocolate bar. I guess his age and experience means it won't be easy to reel him in. Yeah, like I said, old people, they can be tough.
From what I can gather, you aren't quite like the other participants. You're nothing more than a young girl. It pains me to know that you died so young, but your best bet is to avoid the other participants if you want to make the most of what little time you've been granted.
The hell? The hell up. Shut the hell up.
Beg your pardon?
I'm not sure how, but I managed to stop myself from screaming in his face. I've just about had it with him talking to me like I'm some dumb kid. He's not. He's being fair. I'm not... What? That is not Rika's voice. Man, that was some rough coffee earlier. I'm not doing this for my survival. I'm here for answers. I can't afford to just sit by idly and let this all pass. Is my life worth casting aside the lives of others for? What is my regret? What awaits myself and Maharu when all is said and done? Is fate really something we can't hope to go against? I can't let myself die until I find the answers to these questions. I have no intention of living a quiet life if I'm unable to do so. Oh, so you're going to stop going to school every damn day?
Answers, huh? I'm not quite sure what questions you have, but finding your answers won't be a simple task.
And? Don't act like you know me.
Quite the nostalgic statement there. I used to hear it from my family quite often before they all left me.
That lady from the other day mentioned that he'd been living alone ever since his family abandoned him. Based on his attitude, it's hardly surprising someone said that to him before. He's one of those condescending types who likes to act as though they know every little thing about you. To be fair, he doesn't know what you're talking about as far as the girl. I'll leave for today, but it doesn't mean I'll stop looking into you. Don't think I'm the only one doing this either. Everyone's far more desperate to cling to life than you seem to think.
That tenacity of yours is quite admirable. Certainly not what I'd expect from a child.
That attitude is what's pissing me off. Just as I'm about to leave, I hear a set of footsteps stop in front of me. Does number 4 come to say hi? I turn my eyes toward the person to whom they belong. Hello. Girl 4? Something 4? Individual 4? Question mark? Who is this? You know damn well and good who I am. Don't tell me it's another participant. No, of course it is. What is it about today? I should give her the younger voice that I was trying to give Sonia, since we no longer need it for her. The voice belongs to the girl I tailed back to Shigetsugu's house the other day. She's probably returning from a shopping trip based on the plastic bag she's holding in one hand. Yeah, these guys are just going about their lives. They don't care about your little death game. They just want to get some groceries and play some pachinko and, look at the weather. It's a nice day out, Get some sunshine. Her eyes are big and round and her silver hair is somewhat disheveled. She seems like your average innocent kid. I'm going to get an answer as to the gender here because 2 of us here are like, it's a guy, no, it's a girl. Not an instant after I think that, she gives me an icy cold stare. Is she targeting you? Is she targeting you as well? Right then, I feel like something sharp stabs into my brain. Something sharp's going to stab you in a minute if you don't watch out. The sudden pain is so bad that my hands clasp onto my head on instinct. I've never experienced a headache this painful before. Yeah, we're repressing something. This isn't good. I'm not sure about the cause, but the last thing I need in this situation is to leave myself vulnerable. Just as I think that. Aha! Yes, we're both going to have this problem, aren't we? Ah, my head! What's going on? I'm not the only one experiencing this pain, it seems. We're going to have some memories. We're going to remember a thing. Oh, we're going to come in. Alright, we're going to be nice. I just sigh as I take in the unfamiliar room. The mess. Mainly because I know the situation I'm in all too well.
Rest assured, I've put nothing dubious in your tea.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Trust me, if I wanted to examine your ID and such, I would have done so already. This is my attempt at being hospitable.
While taken aback, I accept the cup and have a sip. There's not much taste to it. Well, it's to be expected when the drink is more yellow than green. As for why I'm in Shigetsugu's house, he brought me inside after that headache knocked me for a loop. Both myself and that girl were told to rest until the pain subsided, but she hasn't woken up yet. I notice her fidgeting in her sleep, which leads me to my involuntarily gulping down the tea.
Oh, rather impressive.
Thank you for helping me, but I've stayed long enough already.
Sure. Just remember that my stance on the matter won't change.
Yeah, I won't. He may not see me as his enemy, but there's no denying that we will ultimately have to compete with one another. Not to mention that the girl made no effort to hide her hostility toward me. Well, I mean, she's been having a day. Sure, I'm curious about the sudden headache that hit us when we met, but it's too dangerous to stay here. I want to be gone before she wakes up. I have a feeling the scene's going to progress for a while, though, so what's going to happen? These walls are thin enough that people outside would hear me if I scream, but there's no guarantee they'd actually try to help. Oh, never mind. She's up.
Oh, Shigetsugu? Are you feeling better?
Yeah, sorry for making you worry. Is she clasping her hands behind her back and stretching? That's a cute pose.
There's no reason to apologize. Have some tea.
Thanks. Oh, look how much more adorable she looks when she's not drop-kicking people. I hadn't intended on staring, but I couldn't take my eyes off them. It is a quick exchange, but the two of them really seem like an average grandfather and granddaughter. The warmth in his expression reminds me of how my own grandmother looks at me. I planned to leave as quick as possible, but after witnessing that scene, my feet feel stuck to the floor. I knew it. Which gives the girl an opportunity to turn her attention toward me. And now she's unhappy again. You. I keep my mouth shut. There's no reason to respond. I'm better off going straight home.
Oh, you're still here. This girl may be a participant, but that's no excuse to glare at her the way you did. She isn't our enemy after all. Make sure to apologize for your behavior before she leaves.
Right. I was on edge because two others came here this afternoon to scrounge up information on you, Shigetsugu. Well, you're just kind of open with his name, considering you don't know that I know it. When I saw you two talking, I thought she might be in cahoots with them. In any case, I do apologize. This isn't half-hearted. She's even bowing her head. You see scenarios like this often. The granddaughter does something and then apologizes when her grandfather tells her to. I would honestly believe that these two are family had I not known their participants, even though they look so different. They're not just playing the parts. Everything about their interaction feels authentic. That just makes things harder for me. I'm not particularly upset about it, don't worry. I can't blame her, though, considering my attitude toward him. Of course, it's not like I've decided to let my guard down around them now. My standing by the front door to ensure my escape route serves as proof. However, something she said piqued my interest. I have to confirm with her before leaving. Two others came here earlier, you said. They would happen to have been a tall man and woman, would they? How did you know? I've been keeping an eye out for them as well. Her eyes widen. Shigetsugu, on the other hand, listens without reacting. I take it you know who I'm referring to. They came by earlier, so yes.
Beg your pardon?
Oh, he doesn't know they came by. Oh, I haven't gotten around to telling you yet. They're the reason why the house is a mess. Oh, they're the reason the house is a mess. Oh, I see. I did notice some disorganization, but I just assumed that's how they lived. I don't mean there's trash lying around, but there are a number of newspapers, magazines, and articles of clothing dotting the floor, and some screwdrivers. You know numeral 3 and 11, don't you?
I remember what they looked like, sure. Mind explaining what happened?
I've completely lost my chance to leave now.
You should listen to this as well, but in return, we would like some information.
I thought you weren't playing. He motions for me to sit closer, probably because he knows I've lost my chance to go too. Those two made their way into the house looking for you. It wasn't long after you'd left, actually. I was aware that they'd been scouting out the house from when I last came here. Yeah, because we saw them. They probably have been for several days. Knowing Shigetsugu leaves in the morning, they figured he'd stick to the routine today as well. I made sure to chase them off, though. The woman was tough, but the man was no threat. Federico, you hearing this? What? You chased those two? Yeah, exactly. She's a ninja. She's about my height, but she's definitely way younger and extremely slender. Judging from how she said numeral 11 was tough, I doubt she gave them a simple verbal threat. These are the same two who took Sonia's parents hostage, as if they'd listened to a kid's threat. They got away, but I did manage to severely wound number 3. We should be safe for a few days thanks to that.
So you resorted to violence again.
Again? I had no choice. It was the only way to keep them out. Besides, they attacked first. Wait a minute. You fought them? Like, how? I'm not sure. I just know how to fight for some reason. Is that even possible? And now I'm suspicious of them again. It's not impossible for her to make this up in an attempt. It's not impossible for her to make this up in an attempt to reel information out of me. Yeah, we're on the back foot here when it comes to info. We don't realize she's amnesiac and that she's a ninja. And now we'll find out.
This one suffers from amnesia, you see.
Should you be telling her that?
It's hardly an issue. There's little for you to lose by telling her.
I'm fine with it, but whatever. It should be okay.
This child had nowhere to go when divine selection began. We started living together not long after our first encounter.
I don't remember a single thing about what happened before divine selection. My name, my destination, or even why I became a participant. I don't even know the contents of my own personal cards, so there's no point in trying to uncover my cause of death and regret. Yeah, she doesn't have personal cards, just like we are missing 2 of ours. Not only did I forget why I'm in Japan, but I don't even know that I wasn't born here until I met Shigetsugu. Amnesia. Something we have in common. And just like the headaches, the only difference is that she's lost all of her memories. I've forgotten bits and pieces prior to and after divine selection began, but not enough to affect my life. She, meanwhile, doesn't even know where she is. I can't even begin to imagine. I met Shigetsugu pretty quick, though, so it's not as bad as you may think. She follows up with a pleasant smile. I find it hard to believe that someone with a smile like that could fend those two off. I do like how number 4 is being written, because she is tough, but she's also being written like a child. Like Odette managed to trick her into revealing certain information because she is still just a kid and she's not as worldly as someone like Shigetsugu. Plus a little expressions like this, where she's just happy, you know? But then an intruder comes in and, she grabs the knife. I've heard about how one retains their personal habits and skills when suffering from amnesia. The loss of personal memory doesn't influence muscle memory or something. But that means she has the ability to go toe-to-toe with those two even before the amnesia.
Right! I'm sure there's more you want to hear, but I do believe it's your turn now.
He turns his attention to me after cutting the conversation short. I guess he did mention some sort of reciprocity of information before. I decide to tell them what I know about those two. That's fair. Don't tell them anything about us, just tell them about those two.
I fully expected participants to resort to extreme measures, but those two truly raised the bar.
Wait till you know Alan's been here. I tell them about what they did to Sonia and her parents. Holding a child's parents hostage in order to make them reveal their information. Sheer brute force. Yeah, Odette's thing. However, I make sure not to mention that I have Federico's name card. They never mentioned what cards they have, so fair's fair.
I guess you had little choice but to retaliate then.
See? I knew what I was doing.
Yes. Here, I'll pat your head as a reward.
Sonia liked head pats too.
Do keep in mind that you are putting yourself at risk, though. Be more careful next time.
Okay, you don't need to worry, though. I won't lose to anyone. She's adorable. Her attitude turns out to be far more childlike than her appearance. Yeah, exactly. From my perspective, she's like a kid who gets carried away after being given a little praise. Still, what she said holds weight if she really was able to fight those two off. Her unpredictability is definitely a concern. Sonia, at least, accepted the fact that she was a participant. These two, on the other hand, care only about living out their lives like normal people.
You should understand by now that we truly have no intention of taking part in all this. Please don't get involved with us anymore.
See, what happens if we don't? Again, I want to know what the rules dictate if we just decide, you know what, F this game. I'm just gonna go, take a bike ride. His choice of words make me think he somehow read my mind. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but I am stunned either way. Then I realize it. They're not normal at all. Even real families would struggle to act as legit as these two do. Plus, they're both participants. This is insane. Those two won't give up, though. They'll be back as soon as numeral 3 is recovered, or maybe even earlier. Eliminating us is the only way they can survive, so they have to return.
Are you perhaps worried about us? You came here for our information, correct? Why would you bother to worry about us?
I don't know. I just do, I guess. Isn't that normal? I've worried about every other participant I've ran into. I'm far from normal myself. Yep, accept it.
That's not quite the response I expected after all your talk about finding answers.
You really are annoying, aren't you? Not that he's wrong. That's why he's been so calm this entire time. He's never seen me as a threat. Are you making fun of him? Don't piss off the silver-haired girl. Do not piss off the Manchurian candidate. No, not quite.
Oh, no need to worry about that. I see you went shopping earlier. What did you buy?
Oh, that washer thing gets broken thanks to those two, so I went out to get something for it. I'm not really sure what it is. The clerk recommended it.
I'll assume you mean the washing machine. What's with the hose?
They said you'd know what to do with it. Next to her is a washing machine hose. I recognize the logo on the bag. She must have bought it at one of the nearby supermarkets.
I'm not one to fidget with machines, unfortunately.
Are we going to do it for them? Well, what were you going to do if the washer broke then?
Fortunately, there's a coin-op laundry close by.
Coin-op laundry?
You go there and pay to use their laundry machines.
You said you'd cut down on other expenses for the sake of pachinko. We can't do that. Yeah, spend less on your bills so that you can go and gamble. That's perfectly normal. I really want to say something, but I don't. She might actually believe what he says about it being a battlefield. Shigetsugu, meanwhile, takes the hose before returning his gaze toward me.
You know how to fix this, don't you?
That figures. In the back of my mind, I knew I'd end up being asked based on their exchange. Well, you should have left first. I'll replace the hose, but I'm going home after that. Thank you very much. And we're just buddies now. Ugh, gross. How long has it been since this thing was cleaned? Someone get me a pair of plastic gloves. Man, so much for going straight home. Yeah, now you're in charge of maid duties. How does that feel? Even their drain's a mess. Phew. Mind helping me rinse this? Oh, okay. You too. You guys gotta remember what happened at one of these points. You're gonna have a big cutesy moment here, and then you're gonna remember that in this killing game, one of you has already done a murder to the other before we even started. No, not like that. Get the water from the bathroom. And thus, I faced my fate of getting a torrent of washing machine water to the face. Good job. Where the hell are we now? What errands are we running now? Not only do I get drenched, but the water inside the machine is absolutely filthy. I wish I could exchange this memory for one that I'm missing. At least I changed into my school jersey beforehand. My uniform is safe, but I can't say that's enough to make up for the experience. Honestly, this is probably the worst thing I've gone through since Divine Selection started. Oh, not the baby murder threatening, not that part. I've only got myself to blame, though. It never would have happened if I wasn't such a pushover. Naturally, I'm not too keen on using the bathroom at Shigetsugu's place, so I head to a nearby public bathhouse. That's where we are. Yay, this place is huge! Oh, another outfit! I love it! I love it when there's different outfits. I can't believe Naomi was right. What was she right about? Huh? Nothing. This whole time she was actually a... It is a he... Oh, okay, so Naomi was right. Huh, okay, interesting. This whole time she was actually a he, so that's what Naomi was correct about. I should have known based on his stride and his outfit, but his outward appearance really and truly does kind of make him look like a girl. I wonder if that's going to factor in some way. I guess I've got Miharu to blame for warping my perspective. She carries herself more like a boy, so part of me sees it as normal, despite understanding that she's a rare exception to the norm. Oh, Miharu carries herself like a boy. I was wondering where that was going. I can only sigh at my own silliness. Yeah.
What was that about a girl staying at my house? What the hell are you on? Youngsters like you shouldn't be sighing their lives away.
Everyone, I don't need an entourage to go to the bathroom. You're to blame for it.
Oh, how frightening.
They both tagged along with me to the bathhouse. I guess I should be thankful that he's a boy. Now we won't end up alone in here. Making conversation with him would be a challenge by itself, but I can't hide my fear. Plus, something's odd about how we both suddenly got headaches when we came face to face. Yep, that's a trigger. I know about those. It has to be related to our memories, somehow.
Come along!
I mean, is there any harm in letting him know that we have his cause of death card? I mean, there's no harm in letting him know what his cause of death is. Maybe there's some strategic value in him knowing that we have it. But, Yeah, now he's gone from boy 4. No, he's gone from girl 4 to girl 4? And now he's just boy 4. He scurries along behind Shigetsugu. Now that I think about it, Shigetsugu hasn't referred to him by name. Maybe to ensure that I don't get my hands on his name card, but it's possible that he simply doesn't know it. Just cluing into that now, eh? I'm not quite sure how I reached that conclusion. They told you he was amnesiac. But it might explain why I find their relationship so abnormal. Treating someone as family despite not even knowing their name. Eep. I'll get some weird looks if I mutter stuff like that to myself here. Less thinking, more washing. Back to running their chores? You could just leave. Oh, never mind. You're actually just going to have a bath. All right. What was that about leaving yourself vulnerable? YouTube, don't ban me. It's censored. A sigh pours out of me as I soak in the warm water. This time it's a relaxing one, though. Yeah, different from the washing machine water. I usually just shower at home, so it's been a while since I've gotten to enjoy a bath like this. It's been even longer since I was last at a bathhouse. I was still in elementary school, so I came with my gran. Gran. I whisper quietly so that the sound of the faucet will drown it out. I still message and talk to her over the phone, but I haven't seen her at all since March. She's my one and only family. I can't blame her, since she has no other relatives. Oh, since she has other relatives. But it's hard not to feel lonely sometimes. If she's your gran, biologically, then her relatives are your relatives. Come on. Then again, I should be thankful that she's away right now. Otherwise, she'd run the risk of being taken hostage by people like numeral 11. Don't need to worry about Leth being targeted, at least. Not like it can talk. You leave my cat alone. The next time I'll be able to see her is over summer vacation, assuming we survive that long. I'll be sure to pay her a visit. Summer vacation. Yeah, assuming I don't get eliminated, Divine Selection is scheduled to end around then. So I won't ever get to see her again if I'm eliminated. However, being the sole survivor means I won't be able to see Maharu ever again either. Sonia's words come to mind. It's possible to alter fate, so let's both make it through together. There are still too many unknowns within Divine Selection, but I feel like I know which answer I should be pursuing. Yeah, again, I want to know, what happens if we all just take a walk? Thinking about Sonia causes my eyes to tear up, but I suck it up and I keep them from falling. Gone too soon from this world. I need to focus on what I can do right now. You better take it of that bear to this bathhouse here. It needs to experience the world. Things didn't go quite as I expected, but I can still make the most of this situation. That's the conclusion I've come to. My initial plan was to get my hands on Shigetsugu's and that boy's information, but I can leave that alone for now. We're getting too attached to everyone. We're going to get attached to 9 and then be like, well, crap, now I can't do anything. I'm pretty sure they don't think poorly of me. In that case, it's possible for me to form an alliance with them. 2 seconds ago, you said you and Maharu couldn't survive. Now you're going to form an alliance with 2 other people? Then come on. Doing so would put me on level ground against the likes of Alan and numeral 11. Well, to be fair, if I was going to align with anyone, it would be the ninja. However, I'm not convinced that I have it in me to eliminate those 2 when the time comes. I feel like I'd struggle with it even now. Again, what happens if we just don't? Someone needs to ask Parka that question, because I have a feeling she's going to dodge it. I like Maharu's determination. Even if Sonia had asked me to eliminate her, I highly doubt I would have been able to, as Sonia was perceptive enough to notice. Let's think about something more pleasant. Like the fireworks display we all promised to go see, for example. Which happens to take place after Divine Selection ends. It's impossible to influence my thoughts away from Divine Selection, so I resort to counting the droplets of water as they fall from my hair. There was your bath scene, you degenerates. Is there a reason you waited for me? We need you to fix our washer! Both Shigetsugu and the boy are perched on a sofa by the entrance. The boy has fallen asleep with his back against it, though.
This one was rather adamant, you see. Fell asleep before you finished, though. Hardly surprising with that frame. Must be exhausted after fighting 2 large foreigners.
You could have just left with him.
Come now, he was giddy about being able to speak with someone around his age. I can only assume he had no friends before, and now he's being avoided by those in our neighborhood.
Are he and I really that close in age? He's not much smaller than me, but his attitude and facial expressions make him seem years younger. I give the boy another look up and down. I honestly find it hard to believe that someone like him could make those two retreat.
Which is understandable, but something similar happened before.
Did we get targeted? I wait for him to follow up, but he offers a smile instead. Would someone else have come by? Maybe the debt collectors. Maybe he chased them off.
I'd like to go on, but boy am I thirsty. Could you give me some coffee milk? I'd hate to wake him up by moving.
Sure. I return after grabbing something for the both of us.
Oops! I only had brought enough to pay for the bath. Mind if I pay you back later, after I win some pachinko?
This is intentional, isn't it?
Yep! Oh, not at all!
Unimpressed as I am over an old man mooching off someone my age, I'm better off forcing him to keep talking.
It wasn't too long after I'd met him. He had woken up in the middle of the night, so I took him out for a walk. I had to use the restroom while we were out, and fortunately a nearby park had one. After taking care of business, I returned to find him gone. His curiosity had gotten the better of him, leading him to chase a small animal. As I wandered around looking for him, 3 young men approached.
Okay. Just some hoodlums.
Not friendly youngsters either. They were the type to prey on old men. Even I'm aware that I don't look well off, but I doubt they cared. They were satisfied with any target weaker than them. One punched me before demanding I give them my money. Another stood by, bat in hand.
That's awful.
However, he came back during that. After processing the situation, he asked me a simple question. He asked, "Are these people trying to hurt you?"
No.
Part of me regrets saying yes. As soon as I did, he wasted no time in hospitalizing all 3.
I'm mesmerized as he describes the events in detail. He dodged a bat swing and ripped it from the assailant's hand in one motion, following up with a solid blow to the face. Then he struck the legs of the second one with said bat before smashing them in the face as well. The one who punched Shigetsugu tried to run, but the boy spun around to build momentum before flinging the bat straight at his head. He finished by knocking the final attacker off his feet, jumping on him, and strangling him into unconsciousness.
I didn't even have the chance to make him stop.
There's no doubt Shigetsugu would have experienced far worse had the boy not shown up. They would have beaten him, regardless of whether he gave them money.
He approached me afterwards and casually suggested we go home. I was gobsmacked, to say the least. But I wasn't afraid. If anything, I was relieved. I knew I could rely on him not to buckle under the threat of violence.
Do you think his body is programmed to fight like that?
Most likely. He has to be aware of his own size and frailty. I can only imagine what fearsome things lay dormant in his memories. There's simply no way a child could fight like that without proper combat training and experience.
Yeah, really looking forward to this guy's story. Child soldiers in countries rife with combat come to mind. That's kind of where I'm leaning, because again, I feel like the bomb that killed our girl here was a terrorist attack. I'm only aware of what I've seen in the news, and in my face, but there's been plenty of pictures featuring kids holding weapons and engaging in warfare. Assuming Shigetsugu's right, then he might be from such a place. It would explain his cause of death, too. Being exposed to fire seemed like it'd be common.
I truly believe that this child is kind-hearted by nature, though. He fights not for himself, but for my sake.
Is that your way of differentiating him from numerals 3 and 11?
There's no comparison, especially not against people I don't know. I'm simply saying what I believe.
I can't say I know much about him, and yet for some reason I can see where Shigetsugu's coming from.
Well, we should probably mosey along. Would you be so kind as to carry him back for me? I need to wake him up now.
He's doing this on purpose, I know he is. Well, if you want to wake him up, give him a kick. Actually, no, don't do that. He'll kill you. And just like that, I end up carrying the boy home. To be fair, your back is probably in better shape than Shigetsugu's. We're both a similar size, so I need to stop and catch my breath now and then. One thing I've noticed is he's more built than you'd expect.
Apologies for making you do this, but my poor back just won't allow it.
Can you just be quiet, please? Oh, how intimidating. Shigetsugu isn't the most pleasant person to deal with, I've gathered. That aside, this kid must be as young as I think, based on how deeply asleep he is. Oh. Now Shigetsugu's going to want to wake him up so he doesn't let something slip in his sleep talking. Look at how happy he looks, getting a piggyback ride home. Mom, why did you have to die? I hear him mumbling in my sleep, and then I see a light from my backpack. His speech differs a fair bit from how he speaks with Shigetsugu, too. I stop dead in my tracks. This might be what I'm looking for.
Is something the matter?
Oh, he didn't hear that. I had to take a break. I move his attention away from me with that answer. It doesn't seem like he's noticed what just happened. I repeat the boy's words in my head as we're walking along. It has to be his regret. Yep. Oh, that was a little... Well, you know what? You are a pushover, and you stayed way longer than you should, but you might have gotten something out of it. I'm going to assume that his amnesia doesn't restrict the content of his dreams. In the same vein, it's no stretch to say that he lost his mother at a young age due to where he was raised. Which means his regret shouldn't be too hard to guess. I do my best not to think about it any further, though. I'd best save it for when I get home. Shigetsugu might have realized that I've obtained numerals for his regret card if my book starts to glow here. Oh, she does have it on her. I guess that's wise. He's not exactly a... He may not speak Japanese. He might need his book. And she might need hers if he doesn't speak the language. Ideally, I'd want to avoid making them wary of me. Yeah, your book lighting up would definitely be trouble. I can feel the sweat running down my brow. Don't light up, don't light up, don't light up, don't light up. Not from my nerves, it's because I'm exerting myself right after a hot bath. I'll have to take a shower once I'm home and done with this.
The bedroom is on the second floor. Could you take him up while I put on some tea?
Fine. I sigh again for being forced to carry a boy upstairs, despite carrying him all the whole way home. Today's been nothing but sighs. Can I name the video that? Here it is. The bedroom door is half open already, so it's easy to find my destination. I approach the futon and lean him down to let him off. He grabs onto my arm. He must be confusing me with the mom appearing in his dream. His tiredness gets the best of him, though, and he lets my arm go right after. The strength of his grip was shocking. I guess he is a boy after all. Even though he still looks like a girl to me. Honestly, I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking it. Are you trying to cope with your mistake? With your error in judgment? Just look at that face. Come on! Can you blame me? On the flip side, I'd probably be feeling pretty nervous right now if you looked both his age and his gender. He must be around 2 or so years younger than me, so even if that were the case, I'd probably be fine. What's that? Uh-oh. Don't go snooping. I notice a half-opened drawer out of the corner of my eye. After I ensure that Shigetsugu isn't coming upstairs, I make my way over to it. Sure, it's a half-open drawer, but it's dark in here. I can't see inside, so I open it nice and slow. I was worried that the noise accompanying it would wake the boy up, but it didn't. I can still barely see inside even after opening it up, so I light it up with my phone. Photos? Is this going to be Shigetsugu's stuff? The shelf is full of old photos. Easily over 100. Upon closer inspection, some are relatively new. The contents are mostly the same, family pictures. Featured in them are an old couple, their grandson, and his parents. The grandfather has to be Shigetsugu. Well, that was going to happen.
Not one to miss any details, are you?
My shoulders stiffen in response to the quiet voice from behind me.
You sure were taking your time, so I came up to call you down for tea. Come.
All I can do is nod without turning around. Yeah, you're busted. Hey, you're the one that keeps inviting this girl in. I mean, you're not exactly on the most friendly terms, let's be fair. Much like this afternoon, he's made tea for me, but unlike then, I take my time drinking it. Too bad that doesn't help it taste any better. I'm sorry for looking at those photos without permission.
I'm the one who left it open, so there's no need to apologize. I might as well say that you're free to eliminate me too while I'm at it.
What?
There's certainly nothing wrong with an old man like myself getting a few more years out of his life, but truth be told, I'm not concerned about it.
With just that, I understand the meaning behind those photos. That's your regret, isn't it? The family that he held so dear. There were a few pictures of them abroad as well. He's living alone now, but it's likely that the rest of his family stayed here at some point.
An old man like me has no reason to have hope for the future. That's why I catch myself wishing to go back to those days.
A regret rooted neither in the past nor the future, or the A regret rooted neither in the present nor the future, but the past. Well, that's where the regrets are usually. Actually, no. No, the way I remember Parkus saying that the three cards represent past, present, and future. Past is the name, present is the cause of death, future is the regret, because you wanted to have it, but you're not going to get to now. Yeah, there we go. That's right. I wasn't even looking at the screen when I said that. Parkus said that one's regret represents the future, but that's not always the case. Regret is born from something you can't bring yourself to give up on. In that sense, it's logical that wanting to go back to better times can become one's regret. You can't go back to the past, though.
Oh, I'm aware. Being with him has helped me to overcome my loneliness, though. It brings back good memories.
Can you still say that, knowing it won't last?
I believe we see things different. Such a reality doesn't scare me in the slightest.
His tone makes it clear he has no ulterior motive.
My sole concern is whether or not he will be able to live a happy life, should he survive divine selection.
I hope you're not expecting the answer from me.
You must have an idea regarding his regret, yes?
This question takes me by surprise.
I've heard him mumble in his sleep a number of times as well. Those must be the memories that hid deep within his psyche. Behind psyche locks, if only I had a Magatama. I noticed your surprise over something as we were walking back.
Yeah, see, he's a sharp old boy. You can't put one over on him. I figured he hadn't noticed at the time, but he simply chose to keep quiet. This old man really is a mystery. Nah, he's just sharp. He may be old, he may be frail, but he's got his wits about him.
Both of our regrets are similar. Both are rooted in the past, never to come to fruition.
That's why you're worried about whether or not he can find happiness after this is all over. Don't tell me that's really why you wanted me to carry him.
Heavens no! Even I wouldn't do something that cruel. It was pure coincidence.
Seriously though, he can't carry him. He's got a bad back. He laughs it off, but that doesn't quell my suspicion. What exactly is your goal here? Nothing's going to come from letting him control the conversation. I'm not sure if he's doing it on purpose or if that's just kind of the person he is, but I'm over it.
Could I ask you to make him some dinner?
Let me... Rinka, for God's sakes, I know you're the main character and you need to do these scenes, but for crying out loud. You want to repeat... Yeah, exactly. You want to repeat that, old man.
How about this? If you do me this favor just once, I'll tell you my cause of death.
You're missing the point here.
All I want is to help him overcome his regret, even if it's just a little.
He pauses briefly before explaining. When are we going to find out that he killed me? Is that something that's going to come up? Does he regret that?
Cooking isn't my forte, to say the least. I've only been able to provide him with ready-made meals from convenience stores and supermarkets.
Yeah, we do technically cook a little. Can't you just try and cook him something then?
Oh, my daughter-in-law once said the same thing.
So you did live together at one point then?
Only for a few years after my son's marriage. My wife passed away sometime before then, so both of them came to live with me. They left not long before my grandchild was born, though. I haven't seen much of them since.
There is a tinge of sadness in his voice as he recalls the past. His regret may have come about during the time when they were living here. I've never seen him look so emotional. That's all I need to confirm that his regret is rooted in those days. I wonder if we're going to pull a Maharu and be the one to vote off one or both of these two. I mean, we're running out of pushovers here. Maharu isn't a pushover. She wants to fight for our sake. We're not a pushover. Federico, Alan, and Odette certainly are not pushovers. Well, if number 9 better not be a pushover, because if we're going to just run into someone else who's like, yeah, I get a few more weeks, I guess that's cool, and then I die. Come on, guys, put some heart into it.
Goodness, we certainly got off topic. What I'm trying to say is that there's no point in being my cooking.
But wait a minute. I finally catch on to why he's so particular about this. His regret wouldn't happen to be about his mother's cooking, would it? Light spills forth from my bag the moment I ask. It has to be in response to my having figured out Fora's regret. Well, good job, Shigetsugu. I'm sure he's going to be super happy about that. A regret he'll never be able to fulfill. Shigetsugu casts his eyes over to my bag for a moment, likely having understood what just happened. I can't remember if participants can see each other's lights. I believe they can. I believe Federico made a point of saying that he saw Odette's bag light up when his lit up. So, yeah, he probably noticed that.
I'm not sure whether he had the opportunity to taste his mother's own cooking or not. But something unexpected happened one day while we were dining out. He was watching the TV there when one of those everyday shows was airing. One of the characters was the mother of a child around his age. There was a scene involving them both where the child looked elated when eating his mother's cooking. Quite your run-of-the-mill scene for such shows. But he started to cry as he watched it. He wasn't even sure why, so it must have subconsciously stirred up his forgotten memories. He'd watched TV plenty before that, but this was the first time he'd ever had such a reaction.
When's he gonna wake up, by the way? He's been sleeping for a damn hour.
Having realized what was going on, my book began to glow, and thus I obtained his card.
So what, I'm supposed to be a surrogate for his mother? Don't you realize how unreasonable that is?
Of course I do. That's why I offered up my cause of death in exchange.
His tone turns far more coercive, likely an attempt to pressure me into agreeing. The sudden change is surprising, but I hold my ground and stare him down. It isn't an attempt to hide my surprise or fear. I really am just angry with him. You only have yourself to blame for your regret.
I'm aware of that too.
Come on, Rinka, be nice. His painful acknowledgement is followed by him lowering his head. He lowers it so far that his head almost touches the floor.
I realize now that treating this like a deal won't work. But please, hear me out. It may simply be an attempt to satisfy my own ego. Even so, I'd like you to make something for him.
I need time to think. What's the correct way to respond to this? It's entirely possible that numeral 4 won't be able to fulfill his regret even if he lives through this. You know, I was thinking to myself as a joke. I can't even remember if I mentioned it off in passing because it was such a passing thought. But if we do give this some thought, that may mean that we leave and come back. Are we going to bring Maharu back with us? And she can do the cooking? Because we've already established that she cooks better than we do. We've already had her cooking be a part of the of just things that have been mentioned, the plot, Sonia, stuff like that. Are we going to bring her as backup? Not to mention that there's no way my cooking will help to do so. Also, I joked a couple of streams ago that we were going to have a party at Shigetsu's house. Is that what's going to actually happen? Maharu's going to come by as backup so that we don't feel so vulnerable, and then we're just going to have a grand old time, and then Odette and Federico are going to crash the place. I'm calling it. That's it. We're going to have the party has been fated. What happens after I do all this? Assuming I get Shigetsugu's cause of death and use it to eliminate him, what would happen after that? Is he even thinking that far ahead?
I want to do anything I can for him.
That statement alone tells me that he isn't. At the same time, it tells me just how much he cares. It's the same mindset I had towards Sonia, after all. I'll do it.
Really?
On one condition. It's already late, so I'll make dinner for him tomorrow. But after that, I'm cutting all ties with you both. Yeah, no, you're not. So don't hold it against me if I eliminate either of you down the line. Make sure to tell him that as well. Hey, if you eliminate him, it's just karma.
Understood. As I've said, I have no intention of going after other participants in the first place.
I had been speculating before if 4 and 5 had teamed together to gather information and if they just had bad luck. It's like, nah, they just don't give a damn.
But keep in mind that I won't be able to stop him should he decide to eliminate others.
A brief tense silence follows his claim. He isn't bluffing, that much I can tell. That's fine. It pretty much describes the situation as it stands. I answer without much hesitation. My best option is to lower the chance that I become their target. Granted, I've already settled on agreeing to his proposition before taking that into consideration, but his desire hits too close to home for me to refuse.
Perhaps life would have been different had I been able to handle things like this in the past.
He mutters under his breath. Oh, that'll tie into his regret as well. He likely intended for me not to hear him. I'm going home. For reals this time. No take-backsies. Double dog serious this time. Honest. I'll be back around 6 p.m. tomorrow. Don't worry about the shopping. I'll handle it.
Very well. It's about time I wake him up, too.
I watch as he pulls himself up on his feet.
Is something the matter?
You still owe me for the coffee milk. While we're at it, I want money for tomorrow's shopping, too. You'll get your change back when I arrive.
Stingy youngsters.
It's common courtesy. I agreed to cook for him, but I certainly won't be preparing a 5-star meal. I'm sure that Shigetsugu will wriggle out of paying me back unless I demand it right now, so there you have it. He eventually gives in and hands me 3,000 yen notes. After that, I can finally leave. That'd be like, what, 30 bucks? I crash down on my bed as soon as I arrive, and now is probably a good time. You know what? Let's finish up the day. I missed the date there, but let's push through the end. We're almost at the hour mark. Maybe something else will happen. We need to acknowledge our cards. I crash down on my bed as soon as I arrive. Ah, jeez. Been a while since I last screamed into my pillow. Miharu would be like, "Are you an idiot?" if she was here. Yeah, just like Psy'Min says. Without thinking, I talked to myself out loud. Not only did I succeed in gathering information about Shigetsugu, but I also met the boy staying with him, and so somehow I agreed to cook that boy dinner. To be fair, we're getting quite a bit of advantage over them here. In fact, the only thing we're missing on the two of them is their name, or the boy's name. Granted, that's going to be very difficult. Well, actually, no. We know he has amnesia. We know he doesn't know his name. Would Rinka think back to Maharu's comments about perception and maybe deduce that his name card is blank, as we know it is because Odette has it? And then, of course, we started the game with 4's cause of death. We just found out his regret. We know Shigetsugu's name. We can probably take a solid stab at his regret, and he's going to tell us his cause of death. So, I mean, we're kind of golden, assuming they don't betray us in some way when we go make dinner, and frankly, I don't feel like they would. I feel like they're sincere. Honestly, if number 4 wanted to take us, they could. There's not a whole lot we could do about it. I didn't let myself be influenced this time, though. I agreed to do it of my own volition. Dangerous as it may be to get involved with other participants, there's something far more important to figure out. Do I have what it takes to eliminate them after getting this attached? I need to find my answer to that before I obtain all their cards. Time for a shower. Lucky for me, I've already gotten used to putting off the questions I can't answer yet. Yes, you have! You procrastinating little SOB. And that would be the end of the day and the start of a Thursday. It's the 31st of May. This episode may actually come out about that time. We're sort of keeping pace with the actual Divine Selection, which is cute. Anyway, we are going to go ahead and wrap things up then. We have learned much about 4 and 5. I fully expect that the instant these two get voted off, number 9 is going to be suddenly, "Oh, here I am," and then we're going to learn about him. But I have a feeling the elections are going to get more interesting as time goes on, because it wouldn't make sense for them to dial back. I was regretting before that it was just, "Oh, here's your 3 cards, get out." Last election was much more interesting. I have a feeling the next one is going to be too. I hope so. But once we deal with 9 and whatever happens with these two, maybe one of these two survives. Maybe we vote off Shigetsugu, but number 4 sticks around until we figure out that, he killed us. Is that something that I'm curious to find out Rinka's reaction to learning the full details of her own cause of death. That should be fun. That will be a day. That's going to be awkward. But yeah, let's. There's no way this dinner is going to go smoothly. There's no way we're going to go over there, just make hamburger help or head home, and that's going to be it. So let's see if Odette and Federico crash. Maybe Alan will mix things up and come by and be like, "So, I brought chips." Anyway, take care. I'll see you guys next time. Make sure you follow the channel. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, because this is going places, and I think we're all going to enjoy the trip. Take care. I will see you next time. Have a great week.